My first experience was I had a house where I lived in with my family, and I realized there were properties all over the shore that were being abandoned and left off by the previous owners, and these properties were getting auctioned. And then I said to my wife, let's sell this house. I said to my wife, our house is for sale. And, she looked at me horrified, and we sold the house. And that's how we got the first money to go and buy our first property. I mean, yeah, basically that's what we did. We bought a house in Soweto.
So today, guys, we are talking about flipping properties for a profit in South Africa. That's what we're talking about, and I am joined with Mr. Mpho of Indigo Beans Property Group and Mr. Tshilidzi from Vhuronga Holdings. So these guys are actually partners in a business whereby they buy and sell properties for a profit. So gentlemen, how are you guys doing?
Very well.
No, we're doing good. We're doing good, Henry.
Awesome. So, Mr. Mpho, thank you very much for joining us. So tell us about your experiences with regards to. So I'm going to start with you with regards to property flipping, right? In South Africa, what are the opportunities out there?
Well, Henry, there are opportunities. You have to find them. You have to be intentionally looking for them. There are properties all over, distressed properties. There are deceased estate properties. There are people who are looking to sell off their properties. So if you find them, you will look. If you look for them, you will find them.
Awesome. So, Mr. Tshilidzi, I mean, you are an accountant by profession, and in terms of your partnership, you are, on the accounts, on the money side, and people want to always know, how do I even raise money, to basically start, flipping properties. If I'm going to flip a property, I first have to buy the property. So how am I going to raise that cash?
Yes, when it comes to flipping properties, there's many ways where you can like find a way to fundraise money. There are situations where you can work with others who are having funds also, where you can just start a group of people, depending on how much you need to start buying your first property. Then you can just have a group of people who are going to contribute towards that property. Then you can go and buy the property cash. You can also go into a space where instead of you buying a property cash, if you are able to get funding or finance from the bank and you qualify for it, then you can just go for that. As long as you do your calculations well, in such a way that you will get a profit out of whatever transaction you are going to do if you are going to buy through the bank. So besides buying through the bank, there are times where there are guys who just want to invest their money. They don't really want to be part of the business. They have the cash and they just want somebody will say, you know what, I'll give you a certain percentage, give me the money, I'll go buy a property, and then you guys get a percentage of profit. There are those guys that can do that. So there are many ways to be able to fundraise money. You don't really need to have money to be able to start this business. Even if you don't have money, but you find Mr. Moketwa and Mr. Mavungu who are having money, and then you see this property and you want to buy and sell the property, they will fund the sale, and you give them a share of the profit, and then from there, yes, you can be able to buy and sell properties. That's how you can start.
Awesome. Mr. Moketwa, how did you start in this property flipping business? What was your first experience like?
My first experience was I had a house where I lived in with my family, and I realized there were properties all over the shore that were being abandoned and left off by the previous owners, and these properties were getting auctioned. And then I said to my wife, let's sell this house. I said to my wife, our house is for sale. And she looked at me horrified, and we sold the house, and that's how we got the first money to go and buy our first property. I mean, yeah, basically that's what we did. We bought a house in Soweto for 250,000 rands, and I had a buyer in the next day for 360,000 rands. So that's how I started.
Oh wow, man, that was amazing. That was amazing. So that was, yeah, that was boldness, right? To get into that. But Mr. Tshilidzi, tell us more about, just in terms of, the tax implications, right? So we are buying and selling houses, and there's obviously some tax implications. What are those tax implications, and how can one make sure that they are actually, always, in compliance to such?
Yes, Henry, in each and everything that has to do with money in the country, there will be tax implications. Whether you're going to buy bread or whether you're just selling a property or buying a property, there'll be tax implications. What I encourage people to do as an accountant, obviously I deal mostly with companies. So what I encourage people to do is to sell through a company, and that should be your main business. You should be in the business of buying and selling properties, and due to that, then obviously you will pay your income tax on the income received from the sale of the properties, and obviously minus the expenses that you will incur. So it makes more sense in that way. Obviously, if it's a residential property like Mr. Mokhetwa sold his own personal residential property and then maybe bought another property, there may be capital gains tax depending on the value of the property that you are selling. So there's certain values. Every year there will be changes after they make announcements that this is the value that we start charging capital gains tax on. So then, yeah, that is the taxes that get involved in properties.
Awesome, man. Thank you for that. And Mr. Mpho, obviously your first deal went well. Everything was rosy. I mean, you sold the property in one day, and you made a profit of how much?
About 100,000 rands, I think 125, because I bought it for 125. Yeah.
Uh-huh. Yeah. Wow, man.
I'm not even painting, nothing. I just didn't do nothing on the house.
Wow, man. So you have all the deals gone as smoothly, man.
Well, that one went smoothly, but it doesn't mean the next way will go smoothly. Yeah.
Yeah. So what have been like? What are you like your most memorable?
Yeah, the one that always comes into my mind is the one I bought in Soshanguve. I went to the auction confidently, and I'm thinking, well, I'm an experienced flipper, so nothing can go wrong. And I asked, I had not viewed, I had not done my homework, and I asked there was an agent who was there who was looking to tell us which property to buy. And I asked him, okay, what's happening with this property? He said, no, nice property, buy it. So I went and I bid for it, and I won the bid, came to the house, no house. No windows, it was structure with roof. Right at the corner, the last house at the corner, big yard, no windows, no wires, nothing. Horrified as I was, because I'm a person who doesn't want to get back and stop and cancel the sale, I decided, well, I'm going to go. And I kept the house, fixed it, renovated it. After we had done the last part of the work, then there was an issue. That house had sewage issues.
Wow.
So I had to keep the house for about 3 years, and I had to put tenants in it, and eventually I sold it after 3 years with a lot of problems. I mean, I had crime there. I remember one of the tenants who moved in on the same day, they stole his car battery, and the guy moved out the next day.
Oh man!
So it's not always rosy. It's you just have to make your researches and make sure that what you buy is what you know.
True.
Yeah.
Wow, man, and that's something. Hey,
Yeah.
that's something. So you really have to be resolute, right,
Yeah.
and just passionate about it. So, Mr. Tshilidzi, would you encourage anyone to start, flipping properties and all these things?
I would really encourage, especially the youth. We have high unemployment rate in the country, and we have people who, have money that is just lying somewhere. One thing that I can tell you is that working with Mr. Mketwa also made me realize that, investing in property is more profitable than many ways of investing. Yes, of course, there are challenges that you will face, but then if you just heard what he said, he made a profit of around 100,000 in a property, and by then that was a lot of money.
Yeah,
Compared to now,
yeah.
it was a lot of money. So you are able to make a living out of buying and selling properties. He is the person who helped me buy my first property, and I rented the property out for years and made good money out of it.
Yeah.
And also, after my first property, I also managed to sell it again for a profit after a long time of making a living out of that property, making good money out of it. So I would really encourage the youth to venture into this space. The challenge that everyone will say is that where am I going to get the capital? As I said on the first question that you asked me, if not the second, you don't really need to have money to be able to start. So you just need people like Mr. Mketwa and others who are in this space. They will mentor you and then show you how you can enter into this type of business. And from there, you will be able to run with it.
Awesome. And Mr. Mketwa, where are the opportunities? Are the opportunities? Well, some people say that, there are only opportunities in suburbs. Some will say there are opportunities in townships. What are your thoughts when it comes to, flipping properties?
My thinking is that, thoughts about it is that opportunities are everywhere, but you always have to be considerate of what the market. Remember, flipping is not, is a numbers game. It doesn't help you going and thinking you're going to flip a 3 million rands house and thinking you're going to get a buyer very fast. It takes a little bit of time in that type of market. So you always have to look at the price. You look at the areas that you buy. There is a high demand for affordable houses. And if you are going to flip, I do believe that if you want to start, you can start in wherever you are. In townships, you can find a lot of these properties. Some of them are people who want to move away. They want to move to, maybe they want to move back to the rural areas, and they want to sell these houses now. They don't have time. They want to move on, and they get to be selling these properties cheap. Some of them are actually distressed sellers who are looking to walk away from, especially with the COVID, what COVID has cost. So people are looking. There are those who are looking to sell off these houses, and it's opportunities for those who want to flip.
Awesome. So when do you make a profit in terms of flipping? Is it when you buy or is it when you sell?
It's when you buy.
It's when you buy. So what do you look at? Like what markers do you look at which assure you, give you some sort of assurance that you're going to make a profit, on any property?
Your friend, when you're flipping a property, is the statistics. The first thing you should do. By the time you make an offer, you should have looked at what properties sell for in that specific area. That's why programs like Lightstone, I keep it like a Bible in real estate. You should always have it, and it will always guide you as to what properties that specific property will likely sell for. So by the time you buy it, you already know that this property, if I bought it for 500,000 rands, it is worth 800,000 rands or 900,000 rands, and less the expenses, this is what I'm going to make. So you do not make a mistake of buying without looking at the statistics and as to what the area, how much the area is selling for. So Lightstone is your Bible. You carry it. You must recite it like the Lord is my shepherd.
No, that's awesome. So what are some of the risks, Mr. Tshilidzi, which one can encounter, when you are buying and selling the properties? What are some of the risks that as a business you need, or as a person you need to be aware of, to say, okay, I'll be liable for this can put me out of, this can basically deteriorate any profit?
Yes, one good thing, Mr. Mketwa indicated that including expenses, it's not only about the price of the property that you're buying. You should consider the fact that the attorneys involved, If you are in our type of business, you are also responsible for your municipality bills of the property that you're buying. So if that is the case, then you may get into trouble if you don't really go and do due diligence of checking how much this person is owing the municipality, because sometimes people run away from the municipality and they just want to the house to go away, maybe be bought by somebody else,
Yeah.
and you end up with a big bill on your desk, where maybe let's say you were going to make a 50,000 profit, and then the bill is around 60,000, and you are stuck with it. So if you don't do your due diligence, that is one big mistake that you make. And one other thing, knowing exactly that the property that you're buying is really existing. You need to know what you're buying, the product you're buying, and see it and look at it and see that this is a property that if I'm going to put it back in the market, I will be able to get a profit. But one other thing is to spend too much on the property, where let's say you're getting a property and then maybe it needs to be repainted, but then you go beyond and then you start building, making a pool in there and adding all these extras, paving the whole area and all that, and you just spend more money and it doesn't really bring value to the property or increase its value. There will be a property that they will say, if you're selling a property that is a 3-roomed house in this area, this is how much it's going to cost. If you're selling a property that is a 2-roomed area in this property, that is what it's going to cost. So don't add things that won't add value to the property. Do things that will add value to the property and also attract the buyer that is going to buy your property.
Awesome, man. And for you, Mr. Mpho, sometimes we hear about squatters.
Yeah.
The issue of squatters, I've seen some newspaper articles where, people buy houses only to find out, for example, there was one case I read, someone bought a house, or a couple, only to find out that, I think that was actually a deceased estate, right?
Yeah.
And these people saying, no, man, our brother, we know he bought this house cash, and now this is our house.
Yeah.
What do you mean that you bought it at a bank at an auction?
The funny thing is I've got a similar case as we speak now. So you always have to go and check what the environment or how they, it's like check the temperature before you make an offer on a property. If it's an auction, go there and hear and see. Get the story as to what is going on. You don't just go by. Otherwise, if you go buy a property without doing your due diligence, you could end up with someone who lives in the house for years, and they would fight you trying to evict. The eviction process is very difficult. You can go take them to court. It can take you months and years. It can happen. So that is very important. It is absolute. If there's one thing you are going to learn now, is you need to go there. You need to do diligence. Look at the house and check who's in the house. If it's people if you get a terrible reception by the time before you buy it, rather walk away than to get a terrible reception after you paid for it.
Mm.
Remember,
Wow.
there's no money coming back. If you commit, you in.
Wow, man, gents, thank you very much for this session. Where can people get a hold of you, Mr. Tshilidzi?
Okay, people can get a hold of us on our website, www.vhurongaholdings.co.za. You can also just search for us on all social medias, TikTok, Twitter, LinkedIn, Instagram. Just type Vhuronga Holdings. You will find us there, and we will be able to communicate with you. You can also email us on info@vhurongaholdings.co.za, and our administrator will attend to you.
Awesome. And for you, Mr. Mpho, where can people get a hold of you?
Yeah, my website is www.indigobeans.co, and I'm now on social media, by the way. You can, on Facebook, I'm Mpho Mokgethwa, and on Twitter, I'm Mpho James, and on TikTok, I'm Mpho Mokgethwa 747.
Awesome, man. We'll put the links to your social medias and your website in the bio. So guys, man, if you've got any value from this video, please hit the subscribe button, hit the bell notification so that you can know next time we go live. So guys, much love to you. Have an awesome day. Cheers.
Cheers.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.